What's happening, guys? Sam Adams here, and welcome to a brand new episode of Caffeinate today for February the 22nd of 2019. My name is Samuel Adams, and welcome to today's show. I hope that this one does find you well, and for those that are brand new to the podcast, this is a daily gaming news show where I bring you the hottest gaming news from around the industry, and I wrap it up in one tight, neat little podcast for you to enjoy. And today, we have a good bit of news to dive into. But of course, as I said, if you are brand new to the show, it's hosted 5 days a week over on twitch.tv/The Samuel Adams Live around 7 p.m. Eastern Time, Monday through Friday. And then, of course, it is put out on YouTube and podcast services around the world, if that is how you like to get your information. Now, with that being said, what are we going to be talking about today? A new report is suggesting that Microsoft is revealing multiple consoles at E3 and that Halo Infinite is a launch title. We'll talk more about this new report. On top of that, Google is reportedly unveiling Project Yeti streaming hardware at GDC of 2019, of course, kind of in collaboration in a way with their official streaming software / hardware, as we've seen over the course of the past few months, taking advantage of cloud technology. On top of that, the Twitch affiliates and partner programs have gotten new updates in regards to the emotes that you can use on Twitch, and so we'll talk more about that for those that are into the content creation side of the industry. Fortnite, speaking of content creators, is giving out $100 million in prize money throughout 2019. That, my friends, is a lot of dough. Fortnite in-game Marshmello concert has drawn nearly 11 million players as of the final tally, making it the biggest concurrent player count within Fortnite history. And of course, Bethesda's plan to keep Fallout 76 relevant is all the talk right now. And finally, we will have a final story about Analogue's mini Genesis and the fact that it will include quite a bit of history if you do want to stick around for that. So we'll talk about all of these stories on today's show. And again, I do hope you enjoy what we have here tonight. But without further ado, let's go ahead and dive into it. First off, a new report is saying that Microsoft is revealing multiple consoles at E3 and Halo Infinite is a launch title. With discussions going back and forth on whether E3 still makes sense as a show, Microsoft, the one major platform holder still seemingly holding a physical press conference at the event, is still hoping to make a big splash at the annual expo this year. According to reports from different outlets, Scarlett might get detailed with multiple options in just a few short months. French outlet Way French people, man, commonly thought of as one of the best connected video game outlets in Europe, released a report this morning saying that Microsoft's Scarlett console, which was announced last year, is actually two consoles as indicated by Thoreau last year. Codenamed Lockhart and Anaconda, something we've talked about on the show before, one version would be primarily digital at an entry-level price, while the other would be similar to the Xbox One X in pricing but acts as a traditional local console. Wayvideo indicates that fall 2020 is the presumed launch for these systems, but a discless Xbox One will be coming in a few months, again originally rumored by the outlet Thoreau. Thoreau themselves also seem to back up this rumor. It could be Thurrott also, but I don't want to say like Thurrott because it sounds like thought. But Thoreau themselves also seemed to back up this rumor, releasing a report today saying Microsoft will unveil these two consoles at E3 this year. Halo Infinite is expected to be a shining star of software for the new systems, launching alongside them with, as Thoreau reports, RPG elements and player decisions to help shake up the Halo formula. A Halo RPG. Not entirely, but that sounds cool. In terms of other software, these leaks also believe that Ninja Theory's first game under Microsoft's banner is aiming for a 2020 release date as well. The outlet also suggests that both Anaconda and Lockhart will have SSDs as a standard going forward. Now, if true, combined with recent rumors of Microsoft teaming up with Nintendo on some upcoming collaborative efforts, it looks like Xbox is going into E3 trumpeting a new generation as loudly as they can. And that's pretty much where we stand today. But this is all some very incredible news. And I really do believe that if this is all true, Xbox is going to be coming out of E3 2019 in a very, very solid stance. Of course, whenever they announced the Xbox One and at the beginning of that generation, the public discourse around the console itself was incredibly negative because of the marketing behind the Xbox One. It was supposed to be the one-stop shop for your entertainment, I guess, center if you really wanted to call it that, in your home, and it quite frankly didn't have that kind of draw for a lot of people. It still was a gaming console that worked in a way with the rest of your entertainment ecosystem. And so they've backpedaled over the past few years, and they've added a lot of features that, in my opinion, has saved the Xbox One generation from being a complete and total failure. But going into the next generation of hardware, they're setting themselves up for an incredible level of success, having not only a pretty much foot in the door for a completely digital future, but also allowing a premium console to take the place of the Xbox One X at a bit of a higher price, but also maintaining its, I guess, independence in a way from the internet as its own standalone console. Now, with that being said, I'm also very interested in the new Xbox One that is reportedly launching as a completely digital console. But the biggest feature, of course, with these reports is that all of these consoles are going to be using SSDs going forward, which is going to be fantastic for those that are concerned about load times going into the future of gaming consoles and hardware. In general, SSDs just make gaming so much more enjoyable because, quite frankly, you don't have Anthem load times, which is now a term that I'm going to be throwing around. But if you are interested in what E3 is going to be bringing to the table, not only for Xbox, but also for PlayStation and Nintendo, as well as any of the other big pressers, I will, of course, be covering them as always, as well as I can, whenever the shows do take place. But without a doubt, Xbox and Microsoft setting themselves up for success going into the next generation of gaming consoles. Again, if these reports are to be believed. But moving on to a discussion around Google, because Google is reportedly unveiling Project Yeti streaming hardware at GDC of 2019. Google is hosting a keynote at the upcoming Game Developers Conference in San Francisco on March the 19th, and rumors are swirling around what that could entail. 9 to 5 Google reports that, according to a source familiar with the event, it could very well feature Google's upcoming Project Stream service as well as the Project Yeti hardware meant to work alongside it. The concept of Project Yeti was first introduced in a report via The Information in February of 2017, where it was suggested that a special hardware component to get the service operational on TVs in addition to computers. In the early stages of Project Yeti, it was insinuated that the experience would be relegated to that of something similar to a Chromecast adapter. But talk has since shifted to describing the component as, quote, a gaming console and controller designed by Google. That's a big statement. 9 to 5 Google's sources further confirmed that the Yeti roadmap is being locked down as we speak. With the Project Stream beta having ended in January and talk of Project Yeti buzzing around the industry, it appears as though Google will be the unique position of announcing a new gaming hardware piece during GDC of 2019. Previously, the demo was available for users to test out Assassin's Creed Odyssey via their Chrome browser in Windows, Mac, Linux, and Chrome OS, and participants were required to have a 25 megabit per second internet connection and could utilize optional wired Xbox or PlayStation controllers as well. The Google keynote at GDC 2019 is taking place again on March 19th at 10 a.m. Eastern Time, and of course we will see what they do have to say, but I will without a doubt back where Google is going, because I was lucky enough to have access to that version of Assassin's Creed Odyssey, and I can completely and totally say that it was a fantastic experience. In fact, I would go so far as to say, from the perspective of somebody who then played the game on PS4, streaming Assassin's Creed Odyssey in my Chrome browser actually ran, played, and looked better than the version on my PlayStation 4 Pro. That is a big statement, and it's one that I'm willing to stand behind because the technology is absolutely incredible for this style of thing going forward. But I'm incredibly excited to see what kind of hardware Google does actually pump out. Whenever you see something like a gaming console or controller, don't think about a PlayStation or an Xbox because they're not necessarily going for that kind of thing. I truly don't believe that that's exactly what this specific reveal is going to entail, but in a way, expect something in my mind similar to that of an Apple TV, but with a bit of a more gaming-focused skew. Maybe even go so far as to say something like an Ouya, but you know, with success mixed in. So we'll see what happens on March the 19th. Very excited, and of course, I will be telling you on that day here on an episode of Caffeinate. But until then, let's move on to the Twitch affiliate and partner programs because there has been a brand new update that is introducing some brand new emote regulations. Nothing makes us happier, they say at Twitch, than seeing your chat flooded with custom emotes for your community. In fact, we love it so much we're making it even easier to unlock them. Starting today, we're adding more emote slots to help affiliates and partners provide even more benefits to your community and your subscribers, and help express what's unique about your community by nurturing a shared language. Here is what is changing. We launched the affiliate program with one emote slot for each subscription tier, and we've heard consistently that you wanted more emotes. So, we're doing something about it, they say at Twitch. Beginning today and rolling out over the next 4 months, affiliates can unlock up to 5 Tier 1 emotes with 1 additional emote each for Tier 2, and up to 6 total in Tier 3, up to 7 total subscribers. You can unlock these additional emote slots by reaching different subscriber point thresholds. If your subscriber point total has decreased over time, fear not, we will calculate your available emote slots by using your maximum subscriber point total. So when you meet the threshold, over the next few months, we will then review new emotes as you submit them. So pretty much the way it breaks down is as follows. If you have just the basic affiliation, then you have 1 emote slot. Now when you hit 15 subscriber points, you get 2 emote slots. Then, whenever you hit 25 subscriber points, you get 3 emote slots. I'm done with that now. But essentially, you go on, and when you hit 35 points, you get 4, and when you hit 50 plus sub points, you then get 5, which is a lot of emotes considering affiliates. You know, that's how it rolls. Now, those are going to be rolling out over the next 4 months. Again, these are not all features that are going to be coming on day 1. But as of right now, if you do have 15 sub points or more, you are going to be getting 2 affiliate emo slots coming out today. So congratulations. But there is also an update for the partner emotes. So previously, partners were granted 2 Tier 1 emotes when they achieved partner status. Beginning today, we are increasing that number from 2 to 6. 6, apparently. For audio listeners, I held up 3 fingers because I can count. That means partners with 0 to 64 subscriber points will be automatically unlocking 6 emote slots. Emote thresholds for 65 plus subscriber points are, as of right now, unchanged. So essentially, again, that's pretty much what you've got going on. So you have 2 emote slots now by default if you do have a partner status, and then as you get subs, you then grow from there, in the same way you have traditionally. So, of course, this is a big deal because of what emotes actually are on Twitch. For those that don't know, Twitch communication and Twitch chat has its own language based around these little small emoticons or emojis, or what are the kids calling them these days? Small pictures you use in chat, and they can be designed by the streamer themselves, or they can be outsourced to talent within the community, whatever it might be. But they really do work to create a culture around Twitch and to create a language that people on the platform use on a day-to-day basis. Of course, I talk to people in my own life, like in my interpersonal communication, that also spend a lot of time on Twitch, and I can confidently say I have said Kappa in public, I have said PogChamp in public, I have said all these things in public. I don't want to admit that on a daily basis, but it's something that happens. So that is just a very powerful tool for communication, just to be able to think, hey, there is literally a language that is being created through the use of this style of communication. So for affiliates to be able to have access to up to 7 slots, depending on what they've got going on, is something that is very impressive. But of course, on top of that, if you do have 80 subscriber points, you get 80 emo slots, and then of course grows up from there. But again, cool stuff coming from Twitch. We'll see more about this in the next few months as the new updates do roll out. And of course, we'll see a ton of new announcements coming at TwitchCon of 2019, which again, as we talked about yesterday, is coming back to San Diego this coming fall. Now, speaking of Twitch, you might have heard of a little game called Fortnite. It's very popular, even right now with the rise of Apex Legends, because as of the time of this podcast streaming, I actually saw it at 173,000 viewers, which, again, that's a lot of people, regardless of how you look at it. But the company behind Fortnite is giving out $100 million in prize money in 2019, starting with the Fortnite World Cup qualifiers in April. That's a lot of cash. Epic Games has announced the first details for the upcoming Fortnite World Cup starting in April with the qualifiers and concluding at the end of June with the finals. Clearly, Fortnite has made Epic's bank account fit to burst as it plans on doling out $100 million in prize money across 2019. Starting on April the 8th and ending on June the 16th, the open online qualifiers for the Fortnite World Cup will pit players against each other for a $1 million prize pool each week. Then, from June 26th through the 28th, the top 100 solo players and the top 50 duo teams will duke it out in New York. Every player will leave the finals with at least $50,000 of the $30 million prize pool, while the solo champion will net themselves $3 million. The weekly tournaments will continue after the World Cup, along with the $1 million prize pools. They'll run until the end of the year and feature different models and formats. Epic says that they will, open up the competitive playing field, and it should hopefully be more fun to watch to boot. Other events will also take place during the finals of the World Cup, so it won't just be Battle Royales. That's certainly a lot of money up for grabs for people who aren't horrifically bad at Fortnite. And of course, as the author says, not me, them. So this is open to everybody. If you did want to dive in and give it your best, then by all means, you can check out the new Fortnite $100 million tournament series that is going to be happening over the course of a couple of months in the middle of 2019. But that is a lot of money being doled out to a lot of people, and at the end of the day, whether you get just a couple $1,000s or millions of dollars, it's cool to see esports getting that kind of recognition. I think that's something that's very notable here, is that whether you like Fortnite or you don't, the fact that the game has been able to push the gaming industry in such a way, in such a short period of time, is something that is, worth mentioning here. Because through Fortnite, esports has begun to take a very public skew, a very public eye, persona, whatever you want to call it. It is something that people are now paying attention to in a big way, and something that is becoming a viable option for people who are very good at these games. Believe it or not, yes, this is something that I have heard discussions about. Now, on top of that, you have seen a lot of good stuff coming out of Fortnite in general as far as updates goes, but on top of that, to see Epic pumping this amount of money back into their community to keep people playing the game and to keep people trying to be competitive at the game, that is something that is crazy to me. So much good stuff happening there. But, without a doubt, I will not be competing in the Fortnite tournament because I am not that good. Now, Apex Legends, maybe. I carry people on my back. I put the team on me. But with that being said, I will not be one of the people in the tournaments, and I was not, in fact, one of the 11 million players during the Fortnite in-game Marshmello concert jamming out to some EDM tunes. About 10.7 million players showed up for the Marshmello concert in Fortnite on February the 2nd, breaking the game's concurrent player count by about 2.5 million players, Epic Games tells Variety. The previous record of 8.3 million people playing at once was set during Fortnite's in-game Butterfly event in November. The game saw its best non-event day ever on February 16th with the 7.6 million concurrent players that it had during that time. While previous jumps in player counts were easily attributed to the game expanding to new platforms, like the game hitting Android devices in August and then the Nintendo Switch in June, this latest record shows that the developers' continued engagement with players and willingness to step outside the bounds of traditional play is a big draw for the massive audience the game has built. The success of Fortnite continues to attract and diversify all of the attention going into the game, including a number of lawsuits from creators who say Epic Games stole their various dance moves and monetized them in the game. But overall, what we have here is an incredibly successful in-game event coming to you from the guys over there at Epic Games. And again, as Fluffy says in the chat, 10.7 million. I'm glad there were different servers with that happening, without a doubt. I'm sure they were as well. But this just kind of solidifies the point that I wanted to drive home here. Regardless of how you feel about Fortnite, the fact that they have been able to challenge the traditional understanding of concurrent player counts and what it takes to achieve something like 11 million players, the fact that they have been able to push the boundaries of an in-game event, going away from something that is a community challenge to something that is literally an in-game concert featuring one of the biggest, I don't want to keep saying EDM, but I would assume he's an EDM artist, featuring Marshmello, an incredibly popular artist in 2018 and 2019, that is something that is admirable, that is something that is forward-thinking, and that is something that is going to pave the way for the industry going forward. Now, I'm not saying that you're going to be able to see, Marshmello being in PUBG, for instance, or you're not going to be seeing, Def Leppard in Ring of Elysium. That was a terrible example. But just to think that this is where the gaming industry is in 2019 is something that is very, very impressive to me. But with that being said, something that is not very impressive is Fallout 76. However, Bethesda is keeping the game alive throughout at least 2019 because they have revealed a plan to keep Fallout 76 relevant going forward. and I must admit, it looks pretty good. So, after a very few rough months, Bethesda is all ready to show where Fallout 76 is headed next, and it might just inject some needed variety into the online action RPG. The company has published a 2019 roadmap that starts on March the 12th with Wild Appalachia, a bundle of features, modes, and quests to mark the spring. It'll start out modestly with a quest that opens up brewing and distilling at your home base, but it will also include a seasonal event, and on top of that, the high-stakes survival mode, on top of base decoration and player vending, the sheer terror storyline, and an ever-upwards quest that includes scout-style merit badges and a customizable backpack. Hopefully, the backpack is made of sturdy material. On May 23rd, a purveyor vendor will scrap your legendary gear in return for fresher equipment. The company's strategy for later in the year is vague, but still offers some promise. The Nuclear Winter update is due out this summer, and it will include a namesake mode that aims to change the rules of the Wasteland, new raids on Vaults 94 and 96, and a prestige system that lets players above level 50 achieve a legendary status with new abilities. The fall update, Wastelanders, will be the biggest and most ambitious update yet, with a new main storyline as well as more events, factions, and features. Now, of course, it's too soon to say if this will actually help the overall status of Fallout 76, but it is definitely a step in the right direction. Now, when it comes to what you actually get through all of this new content, that is up for debate. That is up for debate specifically amongst people who still continuously play the game. But from an outsider's perspective, from the perspective of somebody who does not play Fallout 76, I am shocked that they are continuing to support the game in this specific way. But it also proves to me that they have faith in their product. And this is something that I've had on my mind about Fallout 76 for a while. Of course, it got a lot of negative press whenever it first launched because it was not the solid experience that we expect from Fallout and from Bethesda. But over the past few weeks, amongst mixed signals, you have seen a lot of improvements within Fallout 76, especially from the technical side of things. But on top of that, they continue to evolve and change how they are treating the community. And those that have fallen in love with Fallout 76 play it religiously. And I do believe that to continue to support this game shows confidence both in the community to continue to play the game, but on top of that, in the game itself. So will you be picking up Fallout 76? You very well could. I saw it for $20 earlier in the week. And again, there is a lot, whatever it might be, of content coming throughout 2019 for you to enjoy. And it looks pretty solid. And of course, you can find a very nice visualization of this on the official Fallout Twitter, which I found to be much more intuitive than reading through this Engadget art. It's still a good article, but I mean, a picture is worth 1,000 words, which is probably roughly what you're looking at right here. Moving on to the final story of the day. If you are in the market for a mini Genesis console from Analogue, guess what? You are actually getting an unreleased game from 1994 bundled on in. The company will bundle the 1994 shooting game in its Mega SG console. If you needed another reason to consider buying Analogue's Mega SG console, you might just have one. The chance to play Hardcore, a 1994 Sega Genesis game that was previewed but never published. After 25 years in the dark, Hardcore will see the light of day now that Analogue has chosen to bundle the game with its upcoming hardware. Analogue, the company behind the 2017 Super NT SNES clone, announced plans to release a Sega Genesis clone last fall. The console will simulate Sega Genesis hardware while adding HD output and audio that meets today's standards. Now, it is as if they said to themselves, why not throw in a spruced up version of an original Sega Genesis game, and better yet, one that few ever got to play. The publisher's Strictly Limited plan to bring Hardcore, a run-and-gun or shoot-'em-up game, to PlayStation 4 and PlayStation Vita this year, but now, following Analogue's announcement, it looks like we'll see the game in April when the Mega SG ships. This is not the first time that Analogue has bundled a never-released game with its hardware. As Polygon notes, Super NT revived Super Turrican Director's Cut around this time last year. Considering Analogue's focus on revitalizing the bygone 16-bit era, Hardcore feels like a fitting choice for its latest act of video game necromancy. So without a doubt, it is going to be something that I believe is not a Soldier console, but in fact is actually licensed and is actually legitimate, and overall a fantastic piece of hardware because, again, it looks fantastic, HD output, better audio, that's all well and good. Very big on that kind of stuff. because, again, it just kind of refreshes an entire generation of games for people to play in the modern day. But I remember reporting on this new hardcore remake that was supposed to come to PlayStation 4 and PlayStation Vita, which, again, it still might. But it's very cool to see this game not only see the light of day again, but also see the light of day in this specific way, releasing on Analogue's Mega. That's just a cool idea to see it on the Sega Genesis in 2019, getting kind of a new breath of life, so to speak. But if you are into this style of thing, then by all means, you can dive in and check out this new little console coming to you from Analogue, because it does look like a very good representation of a Sega Genesis, and one that is beautiful at that. But again, much more legitimate than the Soldier game consoles, which we talked about towards the end of last year and also into the beginning of this year. Crazy stuff that one is. Absolutely crazy stuff. Still better than the PlayStation Classic, though. Let's be very real here. That's just a waste of money at this point. But with that being said, I hope you guys have enjoyed today's show. If you did, be sure to drop me a like down below if you are watching on YouTube. And of course, if you are hanging out in the chat, I appreciate you being here as well, and do hope you enjoyed today's show. And of course, every show, because it is hosted Monday through Friday on twitch.tv/TheSamuelAdams. But until next time, I hope you guys have a fantastic rest of the weekend. Of course, videos coming out Saturday and Sunday, so stay tuned for those. But I will see you on Monday for a brand new episode of Caffeinate. Have a good one, and peace.